Sports fans, what's really good? This is Jimmy, aka the Blueprint, aka a member of Beard Gang. Listen, this is episode 237 of the greatest podcast since Al Gore invented the internet. In this episode, we talk about everything in the world of sports. We catch up on what's current in the NBA, but we dig deep into the NFL as we approach the Super Bowl. We talk about Deflategate. We talk about the Patriots as well as what happened with the Packers and Seahawks, and the Seahawks advancing to the Super Bowl. We talk about Russell Wilson and whether he's an elite quarterback or not, but just everything involving the NFL playoffs as we approach this year's Super Bowl. So sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 237 of The War Room. Peace.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. Give it to you how you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sorta like some rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerate to speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th for 26, or the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
War Room Nation, what's up? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on that WRS Podcast Network. I'm Devin McMillan. I'm here at the round table with my partner, Jimmy the Blueprint Williams, and our special guest co-host, the homie Hank of the Imaginary Players. The Patriots are mixed up in a rule-bending controversy again. Super Bowl 49 is set, and we'll discuss these things and much, much more. So if you're along for the ride, buckle up. Keep it locked right here and join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports so you can be a part of the conversation as well. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number as usual. It's 323-410-0012. But before we get started, you know we got to shout out the other great shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. Listen to the network from our main site at warroomsports.com, or you can get there directly at WRSPN.com. You'll find great shows such as The Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, After Further Review 2.0, a.k.a. The Sideline Pass with the Mayor, The Tissue and the Tape Hip-Hop Show with Phil and Savad, Sports Trap Radio with Brandon and Anthony, and a whole lot more. You can also check the listings over at fatsradio.com. That's P-H-A-T-Z, radio.com for airtimes of all your favorite WRSPN sports shows, including our show, The War Room, which airs Sundays and Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Fellas, what's going on, man? How's your week going so far?
I'm chilling, man. You know, you're just happy to be here, man. It's almost time for the Super Bowl, and this is when basketball starts to get exciting a little bit and, you know, starts to mean something.
Just a little bit. Big Bank Hank, what up?
What's going on, fellas? I mean, the week's going all right. You know, back to life, back to reality. Had a nice long weekend, but you know,
I'm still trying to decompress from the shenanigans of the weekend. It's just not the same. I'm like, damn, we got to wait a whole nother year to do that stuff again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good times. A
little bit salty.
But yeah, I'm back. Yep.
All right. Well, let's it's a lot of stuff to talk about, and you know, stories are just growing legs as we speak. So let's get right into it. And Jimmy, let everybody know what happened this week besides Deflategate, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let everybody know what happened this week while they were on the ground.
Absolutely. While You Were on the Grind is brought to you by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, which includes the NFL Sunday Ticket, go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on that DirecTV logo, and order a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have DirecTV. You can also get the NBA package, which is running free right now for those who don't know, you know, just to try to, like, reel you in and whatnot. Anyway, first story I want to talk about is this. Rick Pitino, he benches Louisville's Chris Jones for flopping. Now, I know some people on our Facebook page applauded this and were excited because they don't like flopping. what do you think about a coach benching somebody for flopping? I mean, Coach K seems to, want that. But, I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Yo, looking at the video, this is one of the more egregious flops you will ever see in your life. It was like a Rocky movie. Like when you slow it down and you realize that the punches are at least 6 inches away from the other actor's face. It was that kind of flop. Somebody on Kentucky was swinging elbows, and this dude tried to take one for the team. I guess it was so egregious that Pitino was like, come on, man, that's a little too much. So he punished him in the beginning of the next game. He wasn't benched for the whole game, but he was benched in the beginning of the next game, and it wasn't against I think it was like Long Beach State or something like that. So he didn't bench him against any major squad. So it was nothing much ado about that.
Man, I just want to know, is he okay? Is he okay? Because he looked like he died on that play, man. I know y'all saying he flopped, but I think somehow the wind pressure hit him in such a way that he almost died, man. Because no way that kid can act that well. Rick Pitino was cruel for making him go through that punishment of getting hit like that and then finding him afterwards. That's cruel.
Hey, yo, and Hank, the thing was, he tried to keep selling it because for like 5 minutes later, he's still like rubbing his chin throughout the game. And you got NBA players tweeting. You had Boogie Cousins tweeting. I mean, I know he's a Kentucky guy, and he probably would have tweeted this even if dude's elbow really hit him. But he was like, he's still going to rub his chin like that, like he really got hit. Yo, he tried to sell this one, man. He really did.
Yo, man. In the words of my man Slim Charles, yo, if it's a lie, we fight on that lie.
There you go. Keep going. Gotta keep going. Like I'm at once you commit, yo, you got yo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
just
you
like,
commit, like you
just like the Patriots right now.
Man, like same rules apply, man. If it's a lie, we fight on that lie, man. You want one way, but it's the other way. Anyway, next story though. Man, it's hard to talk about this story because I've seen her nether region based upon never mind. Hope Solo was suspended for 30 days after this latest incident, where she appeared to be inebriated in the car with her boyfriend, who was got pulled over for a DUI. I really didn't get the story of how she's in trouble. She wasn't driving, although she appeared to be intoxicated, but she wasn't driving. They're saying it makes women's soccer look bad. I mean, what do you guys think about this story?
Man, I think Hope Solo should have got suspended back when those nudes leaked, man. She should have got suspended for having a vagina that looked the way that it did, man. Her vagina looked angry.
Her jaw looked like she lays down with telephone poles. Like, I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's known for hitting people, but it looked like her vagina was a domestic violence victim.
Yo, somebody beat it up.
I mean, that's allegedly. I mean, I'm not saying I seen the picture. That's allegedly, by the way.
That's what you heard.
She has to shower with these other girls, man. These other girls have to see that every day. Like, they should have been kicked her off the team. And then beyond that,
two of them could sit in there. Never mind.
And then, I mean, her anus looked like a flat tire, man. Like, she just looked beat up, man. So, really, she's a bad look on USA Soccer. So I think they were just looking for any reason to get rid of her and sit her down for a little bit, man. But the thing is, she's good. And from the vagina up, she's actually cute. But, from the vagina she looks horrible.
No, but Hank is right. They're looking for a reason because she's just been bad press for, the better part of the last year. You had the domestic violence thing. You got the stuff that y'all talking about. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't even allege. And then
don't look at it.
You asked a question about this one. Supposedly, she was being belligerent with the police while, her boyfriend, Jeremy Stevens, was getting in trouble for the DUI. So it was a mixture of things, and the U.S. women's national team probably just said enough is enough. What I had to actually appeal to some of my soccer experts earlier, because I'm like, 30 days, like, is that much of a punishment? What is the team even doing right now? But I was told that, they had a few games coming up. So I guess the 30 days does matter. But Hope, get your life and your VAD straight. Too much going on, yo.
I did read that she was acting belligerent, but was she charged with anything?
Nah, not that I know
don't believe
of.
so.
I mean, it's to the point now where, like, you don't even have, it's like we're basically practicing, like, the Minority Report. It's like pre-crime now. Like, you can just, like, it could be alleged that you did something and you get in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't even make any sense to me, man. Word to Kaz. Anyway, next story. Members of Seattle's vaunted 12th man, overrated fans, they left the championship game early. And as we all know, what happened at the end of that championship game, an amazing game, by the way. What do you guys think about this? You never heard any slander going back towards the 12th man?
This is surprising because, they have the reputation of being such great fans. I mean, we've heard rumors that it's not all natural. We hear that they pump some noise in there, but they always deny that. So, it's, I mean, we've seen it plenty of times, and it really did look like that game was over. I mean, we all were watching this game together. We pretty much thought it was over. Maybe Burnett shouldn't have slid after all on that interception. Maybe he shouldn't have slid. We were looking at him like, what the hell are you doing? And that came back to bite him.
Individual plays you can point to.
Yeah, but you just don't expect this from Seahawks fans, man. But I think this is maybe them not believing in their offense, too much to be able to make miraculous comebacks like this. I don't know, but this is what you expect from Miami Heat fans, by the way, who Forbes said are the best fans in basketball. This is what you expect from them, but not the 12th man.
Yeah, I mean, only thing I gotta say is that that game should have been over. So I ain't really going to slander him as much as I probably can right now, because it's like maybe 5 or 6 individual plays that would have ended that game if they just went a little different. But I mean, that's why they play the games, and that game was definitely exciting. And I know they regret that now, but shout out to Miami Heat for having the greatest fans.
And the thing is, man, you see how people, were kind of bashing the Patriots for running up the score on the Colts, but this is the playoffs. This is a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. You can't get conservative. This is not week 2 of the regular season. You shouldn't do it then, so you damn sure shouldn't do it in a championship game. And, they didn't step on their necks, and they came back to bite them. Or maybe they couldn't, but.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true, man. This is definitely true. In that same game, though, y'all man, Marshawn Lynch, he's thankful. He got fined. Beast Mode was fined for grabbing his Bozak after the touchdown versus the Packers. I mean, he's been known to grab his Bozak, and he always grabs his Bozak. What do you guys think about this? Marshawn getting fined yet again.
Man.
Look, man, Marshawn, let Beast Mode be Beast Mode, man. He was the only one out there playing. Everyone wants to give Russell Wilson the credit and talk about the redemption, the ball win, and freeze, but Marshawn Lynch was the only one that was out there that really played hard and turned that game around. So if he want to grab his balls and do what he do, let Marshawn grab his balls, man. They already hated on his cleats. They make him talk when he don't want to talk. Just let him be him.
I think this is also like a Hope Solo situation, fellas. I think this was just them saying, okay, enough is enough. Because remember, Marshawn Lynch, he didn't dove into the end zone and grabbed his nards on like his last 3 or 4 touchdowns. And there was never a fine. Like Hank said, there was the cleat controversy where he was going to say FOH to the league up until the point they threatened to not let him play in the game. Then he finally changed it. And like he said, you got the whole media thing, which he may get another fine because he skipped the media session after this game as well. So it was, I like Marshawn and his antics, but I can kind of understand the league's position. Like, okay, enough is enough. But, we want you to stop messing with Marshawn. But at the same time, if they keep letting everything go, or if they let anything go, then other guys might feel like they can do it and it might get out of control. We as fans, we don't really care because it's funny to us, but the league wants control, and y'all know that. So They're not going to let it get out of hand.
But once again, with the league, I still think they handle PR horribly. Like for being a $1 billion league, their PR is horrible. Because I mean, yes, we're talking about it on the internet here and there. You know, people are laughing at it, but it wasn't an ESPN story until they decided to fine him over it. Now, way more people are realizing the gesture that he's making, and guess what? He's going to do it in the Super Bowl now, and they're going to point it out at the Super Bowl. So, I mean, if they had ignored it, it would have been less attention pointed on it.
And from what I understand, Hank, the NFL wasn't even really his enemy. He's not even the ones he was trying to antagonize. I keep hearing that he's doing it to his own team, not his teammates. But I mean, you know, the contract situation he's going through. You know, all the rumors that they're going to move on from him. You know, at the end of the season, I'm hearing that he's grabbing his nuts, you know, at them, saying, you know, I'm scoring again. This is what I do for your team, and y'all want to treat me like this. That's what I hear. Now the NFL has probably made themselves an even bigger enemy. So you're right. He scores in the Super Bowl. He might whip him out. Like Marshawn gonna do something crazy. He might take it overboard.
Yo,
Jim, that's your man.
My thing is this: after watching that game, they better pay that man. Like I was on the same side. Like, yo, they gonna let him go. He's getting up there in age as a running back. Like Hank is right. He basically kept them in the game, but without him in the defense, like there would have been nothing to come back from. My man was out there playing by himself, and he's telling his team to get the Bozak and give me my chicken.
Give my bread.
Get that man his chicken. Yo, where's your bread? Get that man his chicken, man. Like,
he's something short term, 2-year deal, something reasonable for 2 years. You know what I mean? You gotta take care of him. But the fact that Russell Wilson is about to get taken care of, it's going to hurt people like Marshawn Lynch.
I mean, Russell Wilson is making Russell Wilson making like, yo, for what he's done. Not saying he's done a whole hell of a lot, but he has won a Super Bowl. He has, like, you know, thrown for several touchdowns, 4,000 yards. I mean, my man is playing right now for about like $22 an hour.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're gonna take care of him, definitely.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson ain't never thrown for 4,000 yards though. Stop that.
So Russell Wilson,
my man, Russell Wilson cutting hair. You know, Russell Wilson cutting hair in the locker room on the side just to make money,
just to make ends meet. Huh?
Yeah,
this year. Yeah, he threw for 3,500 this year. Like
3,500. I mean, I gave an extra 500 yards. But anyway, yeah, 3,500 he threw for. You know, so he put it like this: he's playing well above his contract. I just hope he doesn't sign one of them Colin Kaepernick contract. Colin Kaepernick got one of the Metro PCS pay-as-you-go jobs. Like Russell better like not play those games, man.
Well, if they win next week, even if, you know what I'm saying, it's another barbarian effort by their defense, he's still going to have a lot of leverage. You know what I'm saying? I was still the leader of your team in back-to-back Super Bowls, even if I wasn't lighting the place up. So I have way more leverage than you know, that would allow them not to give him that kind of, what you call it, the Metro PCS, John? They're not going to be able to.
Yeah, my man, yo, if he wins 2 Super Bowls, yo, you kind of leverage you got, like, he could walk in and grab his Bozak. They still going to have to pay him. Anyway, man, those are the stories I want to talk about, what happened while we were on the grind. Dad, we got to give some birthday shout-outs real quick, good brother.
All right, let's do that then. Birthdays, as usual, everybody, are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Financing options are available, so you can put something on it. Visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for discounted rates, as usual, make sure you tell them that War Room Sports sent you.
It's my birthday! Yay!
All right, we got a couple of birthdays today. One, man, I was about to say speaking of bus, but we weren't really speaking of any bus. But now we are. Greg Oden. And it's not his fault, man. The dude body just failed him. Greg Oden, who was drafted number 1 overall by the Portland Trail Blazers in the same draft that Kevin Durant was drafted in at number 2. He turns 27 today. Shout out to Greg Oden. The crazy part is, even with his body failing him, he's always going to be able to get on a roster somehow, so he can play 10 minutes a game and, get a couple of rebounds, get a couple of blocks. Jason Peters of the Philadelphia Eagles. Some say he might be the best left tackle in the league. He turns 33. Leon Poe. He turns 31 today. I remember there was a time where people actually thought Leon Poe was going to be real nice. He started to score a little bit. Not so much. George Seifert, former head coach of the San Francisco 49ers and former offensive lineman in the National Football League. He never struck me as an offensive lineman. They must have been little dudes back then. He played O-line, but he turned 75 today. So shout out to all of these gentlemen. We'd like to give them a nice big War Room Sports salute on their birthdays.
It's my birthday. Yay!
All right. So in a few minutes, we're going to have Fred Perdue of collegefootballextra.com to come on and tell us everything we need to know about the Senior Bowl, which is going on this week. But before that, you guys can check out our website at warroomsports.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send a message about our company, our show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, email us, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the memorabilia tab, buy some War Room Sports merchandise, click the blog tab to read our latest articles in the All's Fair in Sports and More blog, then click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page, to follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our iTunes podcast, watch our webcast at warroomsportstv.com, to listen to our radio network at WRSPN.com, and to download our free War Room Sports mobile app to get everything I just mentioned right there on the go. So join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show if you want to talk to us. That's blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't have one, or if you don't want one, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts. But while you're at it, make sure you click follow so you can get updates and reminders about the show. We will be doing a special Super Bowl show on Super Bowl Sunday. But just because I told you that doesn't mean you're going to remember. So if you click follow, you'll get that reminder in your email. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. To call in and speak with us, dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. But if you're already listening from your phone, just make sure you press 1 if you want to talk.
Hi, Peter King with the MMQB here, and you're listening to The War Room at the War Room Sports Podcast Network.
All right. Yo, Jim, before we get Fred Perdue on the line, let's just jump into some hot topics. Let everybody know who Hot Topics are brought to them by.
Absolutely. The Hot Topics are brought to you by Audible. Is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? Try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. All you have to do is visit audibletrial.com/warroomsports. Get you a free audiobook. In no time, you can have someone reading to you. And this is, I stepped my book game up over the last several years. Read over 100 books the last 2 years, and I definitely use Audible. I was telling Dev this weekend, and I've said it on the show a million times, the single greatest audiobook ever is Mike Tyson's book. So, you can go get that for free. Go to audibletrial.com/warroomsports.
All right. Well, let's talk our own brand of college football. And it's not scouting or anything like the homie Fred Perdue, but Joe Paterno, the late Joe Paterno, is now once again college football's winningest head coach, because Penn State football team is getting back to 112 wins that were wiped out during the whole Jerry Sandusky child molestation scandal. So Joe Paterno has all of his wins restored, which vaults him back to the top of the pile. The new deal, the settlement that they made with the school, it directs that $60 million fine that they had. It has to go to child abuse. It has to go to causes that address child abuse within Pennsylvania. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think it was fair that he ended up getting his wins back? Or
man, I think it's a crock of BS. Real quick though, Dev, shout out to @KCMax38 on Twitter, who said we forgot is also Ray Rice's birthday. So
yeah,
just want to put that out there. You know, I don't know if you want to give him a shout out.
Janae got him. Janae got him.
Is that what they were celebrating that night in the casino?
Exactly. That's how they
1
do
year
it.
anniversary.
She got him. Shout out to Ray.
Anyway, yeah, so that's that. But in terms of this whole thing, we were talking this past weekend when we were sitting around talking sports, and we were I forgot what it was we were trying to figure out. We were talking about when somebody won a national championship, and then we were like, well, maybe they didn't win because that was rescinded. And this whole thing is BS, man. Like, the whole thing of taking away wins, you can't do that. Once it's over, you can't take away wins. Like, so I never even looked at it as him having his wins taken away anyway. That's all BS. Taking away wins, taking away national championships, FOH.
Taking away Heisman's.
and my thing is, when they take it away, it's not like they give it to the other team or anything like that. So we just supposed to pretend like the game never happened at all? Like, no, come on, man. I'm with you, Jimmy. It's BS. I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's all a bunch of mamma jambo.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you fellas. Like, in the first place, I never thought they should, take away something that we all clearly saw with our own eyes. Like, we know he won those games. We know Reggie Bush won the Heisman. Like, it's kind of weak to do that. But now that he got his back, Bobby Bowden, who lost 12 games in a 2006-2007 Florida State academic scandal in which the coaches were never implicated, he wants his 12 wins back. And even he said what you guys just said, because once Joe Paterno got his taken away, Bobby Bowden was, I believe he was number one on the list of wins. And he said even when people, like, he used to do speeches and they would introduce to him as college football's all-time winningest coach, and he felt uncomfortable with it. And he always thought that there was an asterisk by it. But at the same time, he said if Joe Paterno gets his 100-plus wins back, he wants his 12 back. So I guess you guys already agree with that by the responses you gave to Joe Paterno in the first place. But
Bobby Bowden said, man, look, he said he wants his corners, man. Get that man his corners, man. So, I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's all a bunch. It's completely stupid. Yo, college athletic. Yo, shout out to Fred Perdue who's getting ready to come on, man. But this sport is corrupt. They're idiots. I'm gonna leave it at that and let Fred come on and take up for him.
Those is peoples, man. Those is peoples. All right, so
you know what? Even though I don't really believe in the taking the wins thing away, if you do get wins taken away, I think it should be for something like you had players that were ineligible or y'all were cheating to win the game.
Right.
Like, I don't know how rate helped them win any games at Penn State, except maybe it was like a motivator for Sandusky. He was like, y'all, if y'all don't make this tackle, y'all got to come wrestle with me in the showers. Like, maybe something like that happened. But besides that, I don't see a reason how, Joe Paterno had to get his wins taken away for that. Like, that never made sense.
I tried not to laugh at it. But no, I fully agree with what Hank is saying. Like, that had no bearing on, wins and losses. So I really don't understand how they did that either. It makes a ton more sense. Like, if you have ineligible players playing, then you're basically using ringers, at that point. So I definitely understand that. So it I don't know, man. Blew my mind. All right, so before we move on to the next thing, let's stay right here with college football because we do have Fred Perdue on the line with us. So from collegefootballextra.com, here with us to talk about the Senior Bowl. Fred, you're on the line, buddy. What's going on?
How you guys doing this evening?
Man, we're good. We're good. We're going to talk a little Senior Bowl, and then we're going to talk about how your NFL team just keep cheating. It's a good day.
I was listening in before we go into that about the Joe Paterno wins, man. I don't believe in this whole taking wins away. How do you take a win away? You can't take a Heisman away. You can't take wins away. You can't do any of that. So unless,
like Hank said, unless you're straight up cheating, like if you got like 35-year-old ringers who have no eligibility left, and they out there
Or if you're
crushing
North
people,
Carolina
that's a
and
different story.
your teachers are doing the student work for them, or something like that. Which, by the way, the NCAA is about to investigate about 20 other schools, 18 of them being D1 schools for academic fraud. But that's neither here nor there.
So my thing is,
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about what we need to know about the Senior Bowl going on this week.
As you can tell, the dogs here, I apologize for that. They're kind of excited, but they're excited about the Senior Bowl too. But right now, the Senior Bowl it's a very
or maybe he was screaming. Maybe he's screaming, "Tom Brady lying like a muck."
You do have the Senior Bowl that it's the beginning of that the casual draft fan draft season but for the rest of us who've been watching these players for years. This is the culmination of a few more events right before the combine and all the rest of the antics that are going to be going on, where everybody pushes everyone up and down boards and saying this guy's going here and there. We don't know. No one really knows. But it's a very good guess. Phil Savage, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, did call out a lot of players in his introductory speech. A lot of big-time players didn't actually show up. Clemson's Vic Beasley, South Carolina's A.J. Ken, Oregon's Marcus Mariota, Missouri's offensive lineman Mitch Morris, Louisville's best receiver Devontae Parker, Iowa's top lineman Brandon Scherf, among others, were called out because they declined an invitation. And a lot of times, this invitation to this game, it's given the respect to all the other great bowl games out there, all-star bowl games. But this is the game, and when you don't show up for this game, it can hurt you. A la Geno Smith, who didn't show up 2 years ago, and he fell to the second round. But he also gave a dig to some other players and he warned some teams to dig a little deeper. Clemson's Corey Crawford, Kentucky's Bud B. Three Florida State players, two offensive linemen, Cam Irvin and Jose Matias, and receiver Rashad Green, who's the all-time leading receiver at Florida State. UCLA's Brett Hundley, Eric Kendricks. You also have Wake Forest's Kevin Johnson. This guy really kind of went in on a couple players, and I'm not sure if everybody really likes it, but he's very honest because a lot of guys really did decline, and it does hurt your stock going forward because what do you have to hide? A.J. McCarron fell because he in his hometown of Mobile, Alabama, he's a rock star there. He didn't show up last year, and he fell to the 5th round. So when you have things like that go on, it really hurts you. But there have been some very interesting prospects. Zadarius Smith from Kentucky, defensive end. He's 6'4", 270. He'll be a big-time first-round pick. He's one of those guys. He's fast off the edge. He can power rush. He can give you the finesse move inside. He can play all the way across the D line. He's a very good player. A big thing I really noticed, and you can play that sounder for the U if you like, but Miami had about 4 or 5 really good players with Darius Gunter, Clive Walford, receiver Philip Dorsett, among others, who all are really tearing it up out there. And yet the team went 6-7, and I'm still trying to figure out what about this team. I can't wrap my head around it. Why this team went 6-7 with all this talent? Clive Walford, the tight end, he's 6'4", about 250, has great hands. He needs to work on his blocking, but he's been doing very well. Philip Dorsett is drawing comparisons to Chris Johnson because of his speed. I've known this from the time he was a freshman. He's been fast forever. Darius Gunter is Richard Sherman-like. He's big. He's tall. He's not going to turn and run with you, but he can press you at the line. He's a very good guy in coverage. But you have a lot of guys that's dominated from Miami, but also some guys from Washington. Danny Shelton, who weighed in at 6'3", 342 pounds. He'll be a top 10 pick probably. He's very nimble on his feet, drawing comparisons to Haloti Ngata. The Senior Bowl has a lot of talent right now, all across the board. The only position that's really lacking depth, I think, is the quarterback position, which is the, of course, high-dollar position. Baylor quarterback Bryce Petty didn't do all that well. He did come in at 6'2", 230. Blake Sims, the quarterback at Alabama, didn't do all that well either. Those two guys really struggled taking snaps under Sims. I'm not sure why yet, because he's played in a pro-style offense. For Petty, I can understand it because he's played an exclusive shotgun offense. So that's easy for him. That's a bit of a transition for him. The guy that really made an impact was Sean Mannion, the quarterback at Oregon State, who he's big, he's got a strong arm, but he has a very slow delivery. If he can quicken his game up, he can shoot up to maybe a third, between the third and fifth round, but there's just no depth. Somebody's got to take on that third quarterback position, don't they?
So why do you think cats like Mariota didn't show up? Is it because, people are already saying his draft stock might be in jeopardy, and anything else he shows them will probably confirm that?
I think with him, he knows he's going to be a top 5 pick anyway. He's one of the 2 top quarterbacks. He has nothing to prove really. His tape is shown the most. Only thing you would be doing is jockeying for that 1 or 2 position. Somebody needs a quarterback. The Bucs need one. The Tennessee Titans need one. It's going to be a 1-2 type of thing unless somebody shoots up that draft for with a great combine. But for me, you guys know how I feel about this. I feel like if Jameis Winston somehow gets through this interview process clean, he's going to be the first overall pick easily because he understands the pro-style offense. Mariota can.
You're really saying if he gets through the interview process without saying something stupid?
Yes, or going and stealing some more soda or crab legs or something stupid like that. He should be the first overall pick, quite honestly. But look out for Zadarius Smith. I really like him from Kentucky. I know that sounds very odd, a guy coming from Kentucky that can just shoot up boards, but he's just so dominant. He played in the East West Shrine game down here in Tampa, Florida, and he really did some things there. And I saw him, but I really didn't pay attention to him. And the practices that was televised as well as the game that was televised really kind of opened my eyes to him a little bit more. And maybe go back and turn the film on. And when you turn the film on this guy, he really just makes big-time plays. Him as well as Randy Gregory from Nebraska are really going to be jockeying for that one of those top 2 or 3 defensive end positions. So I really like what I see from him. But I do have to say this year's Senior Bowl isn't talent laden. There's going to be a lot of big time guys going early, but they won't be going from this Senior Bowl. It's not the talent pool it was a few years ago, as far back as maybe 3 or 4 years ago when you had Russell Wilson there. A couple years ago, you also had E.J. Manuel there, who he wasn't a great NFL guy, but he made plays there as well. This year it's just not as much depth.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure you're going to be live tweeting throughout the whole thing, so let everybody know, where they can come tweet with you, and let them know where they can find you elsewhere on the internet.
Well, you guys can reach me at Purdue Sports. I'm always tweeting NFL, college. If it's a football involved, it's inflated or deflated, I'll always be talking about it. But you can reach me at Purdue Sports on Twitter, as well as you can check out the work at collegefootballextra.com. Looking forward to covering a little bit of the National Signing Day in a couple weeks. That's going to be very interesting, too, because you have some big-time schools with some big-time players decommitting and recommitting, trying to make a decision for the next 4 years of their life.
All right, and Fred also will be covering Super Bowl 49 with us right here at War Room Sports. So start to look out for that coverage, audio and video, warroomsportstv.com, Field Vision with Fred and the fellas from Sports Kings. Fred, it was good talking to you this week, man. Looking forward to the Senior Bowl, and I'm looking forward to your tweets, actually. So I'll be on there.
Most definitely. By the way, I agree with Stephen A. Smith. If Belichick was from ESPN, if Belichick is caught cheating, we need to go ahead and get him out of there for at least.
Damn, you're lying. You're lying.
I don't believe that.
He's trying to be nice. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, guys. So thanks for having me on.
All right. That's Fred Purdue, everybody. Collegefootballextra.com. And if you couldn't tell, he's a New England Patriots fan. So, that's why we took a couple of shots at the Patriots while he was on. All right, so back into these hot topics, man. I just wanted to ask you guys about this deal that the Washington Nationals just gave Max Scherzer, who was one of the aces over in Detroit. They gave him the biggest deal ever for a right-hand pitcher, and that's 7 years, $210 million with a $50 million signing bonus. In you guys' opinion, does this make the Washington Nationals? I mean, because they were the favorites for many last season, because they already have a pretty dominating pitching staff. Does this make them the favorite to represent the National League in the World Series? Actually get there, maybe win it this year?
I mean, that's difficult to say. I mean, I put it like this. I mean, the Expos will be in the mix. Thing is, I have to see how it all plays out. I mean, the Phillies had put together a staff a couple of years ago. It didn't work out. So I'm waiting to see after a couple months what the Expos look like when the rotation actually gets to play. And, we can go from there.
Yeah, for me, I'm just, it may work out for them this year, but I just don't know what the track record is for deals like this actually working out. Like, when was the last time somebody got one of these super mega deals and 5 years into it, they were even still producing at that level? 10 years is a very, very long time to sign somebody to guarantee money. I mean, and I guess it is the market. It's what you have to do in order to get somebody of that level. But it's ridiculous right now. I know me and my son about to go out right now and start working on his fastball, man. But you said that's the highest paid right-handed pitcher. So I'm just going to make sure that he's a lefty, because I guess you can go for more money for being a lefty, huh?
Yo, that's the same thing I'm thinking, Hank, because I've, when I play catch with my son, I've seen him throw the ball with both hands. So, I might need to nurture that left hand a little bit. But Scherzer, he says at his press conference, they all say this: I don't play this game for money. FOH, you just got $210 million. Easy to say. But he did say yet at the same time, when you have an offer like that, it just makes you go, wow. So like I was telling you guys, that the deal includes a record $50 million signing bonus. That $5 million of it is due this year, $15 million each in 2019, 2020, and 2021. So he's going to get that signing bonus, definitely guaranteed, but it's not going to all come at one time. But this staff now that already has. I know. That's why they're giving these contracts. That's why they put that signing bonus money out. Yeah, 2020. It don't even sound real. So that's fine. But since this staff already had Strasburg, Jordan Zimmerman, Doug Fister, Gio Gonzalez, it's already garnering comparisons to the Braves staff that had Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. I know. And they also compared it to the Philly staff that had Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, and Roy Oswalt. So, they I think as far as names go, this staff doesn't have the biggest name so far, but those pitchers did, they played very well last season. So I guess they're thinking adding Scherzer to the mix just solidifies them as the best rotation in baseball. But like Jimmy said, you got to go out there and play the game. No.
When you compare payrolls, I wonder how the payroll of their starting pitching equals up to the rest of the league. They probably got more money invested in starting pitching than some teams have on their entire roster.
Yeah, well, Strasburg didn't get his big money yet. I got a feeling they'll probably get rid of him before they have to do that. He's had some arm issues in the past. And I don't, when Gio came, he didn't get one of these type of deals. Like Scherzer got ace, top 5, top 7 pitcher in the league type money. And so, coming into a staff where you're going to be looked at as the ace on a staff that already had what people can consider aces, is big shoes to fill. But at the same time, it's guaranteed money. So, just like Hank said, the boys will be learning baseball as their primary sport. Because
it's hilarious how sports has just got the economics just off the charts. We'd be like, he didn't get that much. He only got about $85 million.
It's crazy. It's definitely
out of
crazy.
control, yeah. We'll see what
All right,
happens
well,
with the Expos.
Yeah, we'll see. But before we get into some football talk, because I know everybody wants to talk a little bit about Deflategate and a little bit about the Super Bowl, our preliminary coverage. Before we do that, we're going to give you guys our stat of the week. Now, stat of the week comes from the NBA. The Golden State Warriors, who are now 34-6 due to their win last night over the Houston Rockets. Actually, they've swept the season series over the Rockets, but they're 34-6, which they're now the 10th team in NBA history to win at least 34 of their first 40 games. 6 of the previous 9 teams went on. Well, I'm sorry, 6 of the previous 10 teams went on to win the title. The Warriors are outscoring their opponents by 11.7 points per game this season, and only 3 of the teams in NBA history that finished the season with a points per game differential that high, all 3 of them went on to win the title. So basically, this stat is saying that the Golden State Warriors are going to be NBA champions. Do you guys believe it?
Yo, in the words of my man Raheem Moore, yo, stats are for losers, man.
Well, we don't believe you. You need more people.
Hank, you think they need more people, or you think it's Golden State's year? You there?
It's not.
My bad. I don't believe them, man. I don't. For some reason, that team just seems like they're with their bigs being so fragile that when it comes down to playing some of those tough teams like a Memphis, like an OKC, even like a Spurs, they're still going to struggle. You can't live off the jump shot forever.
Right. Yeah. Jump shooting teams, historically, not all of them, of course, there's always exceptions, but it gets tougher for them in the playoffs because, you're going against some of the better defenses in the league. If your jump shot isn't falling, you're going to have to be able to fall back and live off of something else. And like you said, their bigs are kind of fragile, so there's no telling if they're going to be able to do that or not. I mean, they're pretty good on the defensive end, and they light it up. But when you get into the playoffs and you get into some important series and you have some nights when you're not lighting it up, like what are they going to fall back on? So it'll be interesting to see. I wouldn't mind seeing them win it. I just won't believe it until I actually see it, though.
And in the playoffs, sometimes you need about 5 or 6 possessions where you can just throw it into somebody in the post and they can get you 2 points. Especially when you come
playoffs. Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
And I just don't know if unless Bogut stays healthy, that they have that player on the team right now.
Right. All right. Well, let's we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna talk a little basketball in a few, but we're gonna wait and see. It'll get interesting because in the regular season, I pretty much see them continuing this run. Maybe not exactly at this pace, but it's definitely going to get difficult come playoff time. I mean, it's going to get a little more difficult in the second half of the season because we know the NBA season is so long. The good teams really start to turn it up, probably after the All-Star break. So that's coming up soon. So we'll see how Golden State finishes it out. All right, everybody. But before we talk a little bit about NFL football, I just want to remind you can check out our website, warroomsports.com, to call in and speak with us about any of today's topics. Dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. Let go.
Yeah, it's time to talk some NFL football, yo. And for those who don't know, you can now hear our show, The War Room, on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your computer, your iPhone, Android phone, or your BlackBerry or Palm phone. But if you have a BlackBerry or Palm phone, kill yourself. The latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed, no memory or storage wasted. Stitcher.com/The War Room, that's one word. Or go to warroomsports.com and click on that Stitcher logo. Don't forget, when you enter the contest, put in a promo code, The War Room. Is one word, because that puts you into a contest to win millions and millions of money. Now, let's talk some football. about the New England Patriots and the controversy with them and deflating the ball. The whole gate thing, we gotta put that to bed. Everything's gate. This gate, that gate, FOH. But they're calling this
Fucking
deflate.
deflate gate, man. Deflate gate.
The gate's gotta stop, yo. Spy gate, deflate gate. Hey, yo, come on, cut it out. Let's talk about the Patriots and their cheating ways. Dev,
Marshawn
a little bit about
got nuts gate going on.
Dev was telling us, now I didn't see it yet, but Dev told us about Tom Brady's press conference where he was out there looking like a friend of Geppetto. But what do you think about the whole thing overall?
I mean, it's something, Monday morning that became a bit of a deal. And people look at the score of the game and they beat them 45-7. Not really sure that the ball and the air pressure in the ball had anything to do with that. And that's a valid case, but I think people who look at it that way are kind of missing the largest point in this whole thing. This is a team that has history. They've been caught bending the rules before or straight up breaking the rules before. And this is just another example of that. And just to look at the score against the Colts, I don't think it's fair to the situation, because if they got caught this time, it lends you to the thought and the question of how long have they been doing this and just not being caught. And as everything comes out, supposedly in the first matchup earlier this year, the Indianapolis Colts complained to the league about this. So they were already on the NFL's radar. The question is, how much of a big deal is the NFL going to make out of it? And being the NFL's model franchise, who seem to have only gotten a slap on the hand for Spygate, which was probably an even more serious offense than this. I don't know. You can weigh them when you look deep into it. I'm just curious to see what the fallout is going to be. Jimmy talked about the press conferences today. Belichick basically pled ignorance, but we all saw Sean Payton get suspended for a year for pleading ignorance to what his team was doing. Brady got on, and I felt uncomfortable because I'm a Tom Brady fan, but I felt uncomfortable because to me it was obvious that he was lying, and he kept contradicting things he was saying. But we'll get more into the press conferences after we get you guys' initial thoughts on what you actually think about the whole thing. But I think the deal, I don't even think it would be as big of a deal if the Patriots kind of nipped it in the bud and kind of just copped to it and took their punishment. I think their denials and doing these press conferences, I think that's making it an even bigger deal than it is. What say you fellas?
Yeah, I'll weigh in real quick. This whole thing is for those that say that it had any effect on the game. They beat them by 1 million points. I think they could have played with tennis balls. It wouldn't have mattered. But again, the whole thing with the Patriots and cheating, I love Belichick. Pause. I don't know if he had anything to do with it. He claimed ignorance, but the fact that these dudes be literally always trying to figure out any edge they can get, I find that utterly amazing. And the Patriots are needed to make the league stronger. Without teams trying this kind of stuff, you can't put certain rules in place to prevent it. So there's always someone like that. It's sort of like when I used to run a fantasy football league. There used to be this one dude. Shout to Nate. Nate knows who he is. He's probably going to listen to this. Yo, he would try to find everything under the sun to break a rule, do something to make a pickup when he wasn't supposed to. But the fact of the matter is that's how the league got better and we started putting rules in places, because he always tried to play in the gray area. Now, what's going to happen to them? That'll be interesting. I mean, let's see what Roger Goodell's going to do, because the fact of the matter is they're still cheating. Even though I said all those great things and how amazing it is, they're still cheating, though. For all intents and purposes, these guys are cheating. The Spygate was way more egregious. But when you add this on top of that, and I saw someone on our Facebook page today says, imagine some of the things they don't get caught with or they haven't been caught with yet. Because if they're doing all these things, more than likely they're probably doing some other things. That's all speculation, but still, the Patriots are up to something. And I just like the fact that I get to use these kind of things in arguments when Patriots fans talk about how great they are. I get to call them cheaters, and for some reason, Patriot fans get upset. I wish my team cheated and won more bowls. But anyway, that's my take on it.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, Jimmy. I mean, they could have. I'm with you, Jimmy. At the end of the day, the balls didn't matter. Like they could have played with Marshawn Lynch's balls, and they still would have been able to, blow them out. Pause. But like you said, there's just this dark cloud that's over them, and I respect it as well. But at the end of the day, it is something that you have to mention with their legacy. Like this was supposed to be the Super Bowl that they won post Spygate that proves that it wasn't about the spying that got them, to win those first few Super Bowls. Even though, we were talking about Tom Brady's numbers as far as getting to the AFC Championship game this weekend. And, he's been to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl so many times after Spygate that, obviously Spygate wasn't that big of a thing that they needed to win. But this does, give just that asterisk behind their wins once again, and it gets people talking about the Patriots needing to cheat in order to win. But and then I now correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they re-inflate all the balls at halftime?
Yeah, so they went on a bigger run with the regular size rocks.
Exactly. Exactly. So I mean,
but that's why I keep saying, like, throw out that game. You just wonder how long they've been doing this. You know what I mean?
True. I mean, but no one's really said anything until this game, so obviously it wasn't a huge issue.
And then you wonder why sometimes, because the Patriots are a very good team, a very good franchise. Like you wonder why they have to do this. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff. But people try everything they need to try to get an advantage, and everybody probably does something, but it just so happened that they got caught twice, so it looks worse on them. Whereas everybody's probably doing something to try to get an advantage that's bending the rules. But it's crazy. What do you guys think, like in terms of punishment? Because I mentioned earlier, remember when Sean Payton pleaded ignorant about the whole bounty thing going on in New Orleans? They gave him a year suspension. Do y'all think they would ever dare try to give King Bill a year suspension for something like this? And remember, he has, there's precedence. He has a pass. So, they did this, and that was Sean Payton's first offense, basically. So do y'all think that's even possible?
They're not going to touch the emperor. You crazy? They're not going to do anything to Bill Belichick. But they do need to do something as far as making this a bigger penalty. Because if the penalty is only $25,000, who wouldn't do it? Like, I think Jimmy or somebody. It might have been just on the War Room Facebook page, but you guys posted a article about Brad Johnson paying $7,500 to somebody for his Super Bowl in order to get them to scuff up the balls the way that he liked it. So bum quarterbacks like Brad Johnson, who probably didn't even throw in his Super Bowl game, are doing things like that. It's a lot more widespread than just the Patriots. And that fine just shows you that it's just a little, okay, if we catch you, we got to slap you on the wrist, but we're not going to do anything crazy to you for doing that.
Bobby Kraft ain't having it, yo. He's not getting no year. There's no way that's going to happen. Probably be draft picks, but I mean, what message are you really sending? It's funny. I saw that. I saw Richard Sherman talk about how they told Marshawn Lynch he would be suspended for the Super Bowl if they were to win the game, and he was to wear those gold cleats. And he says, but nobody will get suspended from the Patriots. He says, so basically, the way that players dress,
take their best weapon from them. They were willing to take their best weapon.
It's more important to the league than someone literally cheating. So, at the end of the day, I mean, that's what it is. It's cheating. It's cheating. And it's like, if this happened, this was the first thing, that'd be one thing. But then when you add in, like, the whole Spygate thing, that's still there. That's always going to be there. And Hank, you put up a great point. When you think back to this team, that's going to be part of their legacy.
Yeah. I mean, because it already is. And the point that Hank even went further in making is that this was their chance to win a Super Bowl and post Spygate and stop having people bring that up every time you haven't won a Super Bowl since Spygate, blah, blah, blah. And now it's marred with this. So if they go on and win, the narrative doesn't change for people who don't like the Patriots. The narrative is just not going to change. And that's unfortunate because this franchise has basically dominated football over the past 10, 12 years, even longer. But their legacy is going to be marred by, them breaking the rules a few times, which, like I said, everybody probably does certain things, but they keep getting caught doing certain things, and that's really unfortunate.
In the creation of the Tuck rule,
yeah,
as Ray Lewis said, we wouldn't have known about Tom Brady with the Tuck rule, but I ain't gonna get into that. But
yeah, I mean, all this run to me shows you is how hard it really is to win a Super Bowl. See, they won 3, so fans get spoiled. So they're saying, well, if you weren't cheating, you would be able to win one. I mean, they've been to the Super Bowl, but this is the 3rd time since then that they've been to the Super Bowl. They've been to countless AFC championship games. So the team, the franchise, was still just as strong. But this is a one-and-done situation every year. And winning 3, I think it kind of made people think that it was easy. And if you were really as dominant as you say you are, as dominant as you look in the regular season, then you should just easily win a few Super Bowls since Spygate. But it's just not that easy. So I don't think that Spygate was the reason why they did or why they haven't won one since then. But that's going to be the legacy.
Hank brought up Brad Johnson. Shout out to Brad Johnson because I've been playing fantasy football long enough to where I got points for him completing a pass to himself. But he did say that. He did say that he paid to have balls doctored up prior to the Bucs Super Bowl. And hearing him say that, does that change your opinion in terms of this Patriot thing? Like, oh well, everybody does it, or is it still you still look at it the same?
Not really, because what he didn't say was that he was deflating balls.
I think Brad Johnson. I think Brad Johnson was lying, man. I think Brad Johnson just wanted to remind people he played in the Super Bowl. Like, Brad Johnson had no clout to be paying people off. Like, come on, man. And that was on a Tony Dungy team. Don't you? Oh no, I'm sorry. By that time, the devil was John Gruden had taken over. I was thinking that was St. Tony's team. But okay. So maybe John Gruden would turn his eyes, but Brad Johnson ain't do that.
See, but even though Brad Johnson made this admission, he still maintains that he didn't cheat. And like I said, there was no, deflation or inflation going on in what he did. And plus, he supposedly had them go get all 100 balls that were going to be a part of the Super Bowl and scuff them up a little bit. So whatever he did to get an advantage, he gave that same advantage to the Raiders side as well, because they were all using the same footballs. So it's definitely
so they got crackheads. They got crackheads working at the Super Bowl now. You just pay them. If you'll take these 100 balls, I need you to get them stuffed up in the next hour or so.
Hey, if I'm an equipment dude, 7,500, I'm pretty much doing that too.
You scuffing.
I'm gonna be on my Pookie Joan. I'm doing that. Like, thank you, Mr. Johnson. All right, Mr. Johnson. Like I'm talking about Bumpy Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yo, going on to the other side, going into the NFC, we talked about Marshawn and the Seahawks a couple times in the course of this show. But what do you think about the overall collapse of the Packers, man? Because there were several plays that could have just changed this game. I mean, Dev talked about the interception and a guy falling down. The drive before that, where they just ran 3 times trying to run the clock out. Shot to the bull Bostic, who tried to play hero and ended up, doing what he did. Just so many single plays that could have changed this game. What do you think about the Packers?
Bostic was playing soccer. He was out there hitting headers.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was just so many plays. I think, when we were all watching it, we realized, like, look, man, Green Bay needs to be getting sevens here. They settled for way too many field goals. Richard Sherman made that great interception on that first drive in the end zone to stop him from getting a touchdown. But it was just so many chances where they played not to lose instead of playing to win, and it came back to bite them. I mean, at the end of the day, we were just sitting there like, look, man, Seattle was going to have a shot to win this game, and it was those same people that were basically costing Seattle the game that had that one more chance, and they were able to come through for them. You can't leave a team like that, you know, a Super Bowl champion, a team that, you know Russell Wilson is always positive and always going to be, you know, trying his best. You can't leave them with breath left. You got to stomp on them. And Green Bay just didn't do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because, you know, we were all watching the game together. And when Burnett caught that interception and slid, you know, a few of us, we expressed, you know, our puzzlement, like, out loud, like, yo, why did he slide? Come to think of it, they didn't make a big deal of it then, but now that the game is over and it happened the way it happened, they show that play more closely, and there was one man to beat. All he had to do was beat Russell Wilson, which is possible because a lot of times they don't want your quarterback out there making plays anyway, even though this was the NFC Championship, so I'm pretty sure he would have sold out to make the tackle. But he had one man to beat, and even if he didn't beat him, he may have at least gotten the Packers into field goal range where they could put the game away. But yeah, like Hank said, man, you can't get conservative. You can't just mail it in against a team, a desperate team, and a team that's good enough to be in this position in the first place. So they definitely they blew that. And I know the Packers, I know Aaron Rodgers and the gang was just sick after that game. I also heard that a lot of the plays down the stretch, and I don't know if he was injured or anything, but Clay Matthews wasn't even in the game for like a good stretch in the fourth quarter. I think they really just thought they had it, was out there resting people, and it came back to bite them. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in football, man.
Remember we were commenting how Clay Matthews looked like Hulk Hogan on the sideline, and then we realized like, wait, why is he on the sideline?
Like on the sideline.
You know, was caught that pass and almost took it into the end zone, but and set him up for the next touchdown. And you got to give Seattle's defense. I don't hear enough people giving their defense the credit like they're supposed to. People are talking about how Russell Wilson battled through it, and you know all the redemption stuff. But that defense really was able to slow down and stop Aaron Rodgers when they had their back against the wall the whole entire game due to those turnovers. So I mean, you got to respect that defense.
Yo, that defense is crazy.
The one play no one's talking about is that crazy 2-point conversion. Like that was a wild play. I still don't know how he did that. But that's another one. If that just doesn't.
He doesn't either. Yeah. He just threw that up. He didn't know he did that. But
look, I've always had
destiny.
this theory that Russell Wilson, because I can't figure out what race he is. So to me, he just kind of looks like an Aborigine. So if you look closely, he kind of threw it like a boomerang. And that thing whipped back around, and it hit him right in the hands for a touchdown. So, you know, he just went back to his roots there. So shout out to all the Aborigines, man.
Good night, Mike. Yo, but no, the end of that game was sick, and like you guys mentioned a minute ago, like you have to shout out that Seattle defense. I was talking to somebody about, you know, just how they handled the game in general. You have 5 turnovers against probably the best quarterback in the league, one of the most potent offenses in the league, and on 5 penalties, they can only generate 22 points. On short fields, look, the only touchdown that the Packers scored was on one of their longer drives of the game, and that was only 56 yards. Their first, 3 of their first 4 drives started inside of Seattle's 35, and they could get nothing but field goals. On one, they didn't get anything because they went for it down on the goal line. So that defense is like last year in their playoff run, and now in this playoff run, I'd say they're playing at an all-time level. And to shut Aaron Rodgers and the Packers down like that was just crazy impressive. Because how many teams do you guys know would be hanging around in a game where Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers were working off 5 short fields because of your turnovers? Like any normal team in the NFL, they might be up 25, 30 points by that time. And they were sticking around.
What happened to the Bears this season when they did the same thing?
Shoot, you saw what happened to the Eagles when they played them? Like, yo, they dropped 50-something on certain teams that want to give them the ball like that. And this team gave them the ball 5 times and they can only get 22 points out of it. I'm impressed, man. Patriots definitely have their hands full next Sunday. These dudes are serious.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, man, they play lights out. They definitely didn't get enough credit, man. But it's also a huge letdown for the Packers. Imagine being on that team and having to get back here. I mean, because they were literally within a couple minutes of being in the bowl. I mean, the reason the gentleman fell on the ground is because he thought it was over.
Yeah, I'm surprised they hadn't given McCarthy the Gatorade bath yet.
Yeah.
Yo, and speaking of the defense, too, I really wanted Aaron Rodgers to test Richard Sherman. For one, because I think you had to, with the way he was holding his arm. But for personal reasons, I think Richard Sherman was trying to bait him the whole time. Like, the way he was holding that arm, I feel like if he would have threw it at Richard, he was catching that pick six and winning that game right there, man. I think most of that was an acting job just to get Aaron Rodgers to throw at him one more time.
And he was still holding it after the game. But remember, we remarked that he was probably just doing that to bait Tom Brady. Or whoever, Tom Brady or Andrew, whoever they were playing next. I think he was just going to play that out so they think he was coming into the game with an injury.
Exactly. The guy with the Stanford, he's smart, man. He knows what he's doing. He's playing chess. They playing checkers.
Well, shout out to them and that crazy defense, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
Here's the next question. Part of this game, I saw a lot of arguments about it. He didn't have necessarily a great game in the beginning, but he made the most clutch shmoney throw of the day. Russell Wilson. And the argument is Russell Wilson elite? Can he be considered an elite quarterback? I mean, he's going to his second Super Bowl. He's already won one. 3,500 yards, had a high quarterback rating. So what do you guys think about Russell Wilson right now? Is he an elite quarterback at this moment?
Y'all could take that.
Russ is good. Russ is good. I can't put him elite, man. He doesn't do enough passing the ball to be elite, in my opinion. He's good. He's good. He's great for that system. He's great playing with that sort of defense, but I can't call him elite.
Yeah, I basically agree with that. And, I had these arguments this week as well. I just think that word gets thrown around so much, so easily. And the first thing somebody said in defense of him being elite is, man, he's about to be in his second straight Super Bowl. He might win 2 straight Super Bowls. But look, I mean, to tell the truth, I agree with Hank. I think he's good. I think he is what they need for what they have around him. But if we're just going to judge it off Super Bowl games and Super Bowl appearances, I just don't think that's fair, because even though last year, if you didn't watch the Super Bowl, his numbers will basically tell pretty high rating, 206 yards, 2 touchdown passes. His numbers will pretty much tell you that he had a decent game in the Super Bowl. They won't read like he stuck the joint up like Ben Roethlisberger against Seattle and still got the win, because that wasn't the case. But at the same time, the game was long over before Russell Wilson even, got heated up in the passing game. They kind of padded those stats to make his contribution be a little bigger. It was 29-0 before he even threw his first touchdown pass. So
I love how you speculate that's why they did it, though. Like, we gonna do this to pump his numbers up so he won't look that bad.
Man, you can't embarrass your young quarterback like that, man. If they would have just run out the clock and been conservative after a 29-0 lead, I swear dude would have had like 35 yards passing, no touchdowns. And that's embarrassing, because then everybody gonna say you didn't help at all. So I don't know if they did it, but if I was the coach, I would have done that, to make my quarterback look a little better. But
so
this game,
with all this talk,
he made a money throw at the end, but he definitely stunk this one up. So this would, to me, would kind of be the wrong game to be arguing his eliteness after. Maybe let him light it up, and then we can have this argument. But he throws 4 picks, not all of them his fault, and we're talking after the game about him being elite just because his team is going to another bowl.
Now,
kind of weird.
I've seen the argument after the game all over the internet, whether he's elite or not. Then people try to bring the race thing into it, when none of us really even know what race he is. But with all that being said, my argument was I always thought he had potential. He has the chance to become elite, but I don't think he's elite. I only think there may be 3 or 4 elite quarterbacks in the entire NFL. So that's no shots and no disrespect.
That's what elite means. Everybody can't be elite.
Everybody can't. Exactly. You can even be great. You can even be great and not be elite. Like there's some great quarterbacks, that've come through the league that weren't necessarily elite, but people just throw words around.
I think that he has the potential. I think that he has the potential. He has the tools. This guy can definitely be an all-time great. No Ron Jaworski, but I don't think he's hit that yet. And someone made the argument to me, well, look at his numbers at this time in his career and look at Brady's around the same games. And his numbers were comparable, and some of them were even better than Tom Brady's throughout the same time frame in terms of games, in terms of touchdowns, yardage, QB rating, wins, the whole nine. But like I told them, I don't think Tom Brady was elite. I don't even think Tom Brady was elite after he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, he won 3 bowls, and I didn't think he was I don't think he stepped into the realm of elite until, like you said, Jimmy, until after they won those 3 bowls. He's been a much better quarterback after the Super Bowls than he was when they won it. Like he just had the right stuff around him. I'm not saying he was bad; he was good, but I 100% agree with that point you just made.
Yeah, so that was my point when they showed me those stats, because I'm not going to lie to you, the stats were shocking. I was like, damn, I didn't realize he was on the same the same level as Tom over the first couple years in his career. But that doesn't mean anything.
I wasn't lighting it up back then either, though.
I didn't think Tom was elite either, so it didn't really mean anything. But I just think that the fact of the matter is there's always going to be a handful of guys who are elite in the league, and that's the thing. People try to talk about, well, you got to get this kind of quarterback, a running quarterback, a pocket quarterback, a black quarterback, a white quarterback. The fact of the matter is, at any given time in the league, most quarterbacks won't be good. I don't remember every team having a great quarterback ever. So this whole notion of you got to do this, like it's only going to be a handful of good quarterbacks every year anyway.
Right.
But he's on his way. I mean, I like to see him getting better. I mean, he hasn't done a Cam where Cam will have one game looking like he could be like the next coming of whoever, and the next game looks like he could be out the league in 2 games. So he's more consistent than Cam, but give the guy time. You're actually doing him a disservice by trying to crown his ass already, in the words of Dennis Green.
You want to crown him? Crown him. Yeah, and that's what I try to tell people, but people use that word. If you don't agree with what they're saying, if you're not 100% attached to somebody's jock at the moment, you're a hater. So, and I really agree with what you just said. You're doing him a disservice because you're anointing him and making him something that he hasn't become yet. I don't think Russell Wilson is the type of dude to listen to that. I actually think somebody like Robert Griffin III is the type of dude to listen to that. When they tell you that you're already great, he believed that hype and didn't put in much work to get better. I don't think Russell Wilson
are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Why are you so mad though?
He was mad as
hell. Why are you mad, Diddy?
So
I don't think Russell's the type that'll listen to that stuff and get complacent. So I don't think there's a problem there. But you're still, you're running the risk of doing him a disservice with this whole thing.
So one of the big stories that same day was about whether or not it was about Andrew Luck is about to become the highest paid quarterback in the league, and we were talking about whether or not another Super Bowl means Russell Wilson agent goes and says, I need more than whatever Andrew Luck did. And I think Andrew Luck is a lot closer to being quote unquote elite than Russell Wilson is. He just doesn't have the same tools around him. So I don't know. What's your feelings on that? Do you pay with the Super Bowl win? Do you pay Russell Wilson more than Andrew Luck?
I agree with you, first of all, Hank. But I think Like you said, that's something that they win this game. Of course, that's something his agent is definitely going to try to do, even if it's like $1. Me, no, I really don't, and I can't do that because I watch Andrew Luck. He's asked to do way more, and he has been since day one than his peers that he came in with. He's asked to do more within the scheme of these offenses than those guys. Russell Wilson. Now, something you said, a lot of casual, now I'm not going to call them casual, I'm just going to call them average fans would disagree, because when you say weapons, all the average fan thinks about is wide receivers, which is the most dependent position in the league. They'll say, oh, he got Baldwin, he got this and that. But they act like defense doesn't exist. They act like the offensive line doesn't exist. They act like Marshawn Lynch doesn't exist. So when you say what he has around him, I understand what you're talking about, but I guarantee you there are a bunch of people out there who cringed and are ready to go off saying, well, Russell doesn't have anything around them. And, that's the same argument we used to hear for Donovan McNabb. If the big name wide receivers aren't there, then fans automatically think you have nothing around you. Not, it doesn't matter if you have great backs, a great defense, good tight ends and a great offensive line. The only thing that matters to fans when it comes to quarterbacks is how good their actual wide receivers are. And I actually think Russell's receivers are a little underrated, even though your man was, he's played like crap that game. And he had the most to say after the game to the media on some I told y'all type stuff. But that's a different story. But to your question, yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable as a Seahawk team doing that, but the pressure to do that is definitely going to be there if they win too. And like I said, if you do really believe in him, you're not going to want to hurt his feelings and bring all the data pointing to the defense carrying the team and how good the running back and the offensive line is. So they're going to be stuck in a dilemma. And even if you wanted to do the little thing where you pay him $1 more than what Andrew Luck is making, that's still going to be a whole lot of money that, I don't know, that you might not want to pay Russell Wilson, because in my opinion, he's very good, but I don't think he's on Andrew Luck's level. That's just me, though. Fellas?
Yeah, I agree.
Jimmy?
My fault. I was on mute. I was on mute. I was trying to get back on, but I agree. I agree completely, because the truth is told, it's something that people don't recognize. The Colts aren't that good. Yeah, that's real talk. Like, the Colts got that far. They beat my Broncos, and I'm not hating because of that. But they're really not that good. If you take Andrew Luck off that team, like really, what do you have?
2-14, maybe. Well, maybe not now, because their backup is a seasoned veteran in Hasselbeck, even though he hasn't played since like the Underground Railroad. But but it's going to be a considerable drop off even with Hasselbeck.
I really thought Hasselbeck was out the league. I thought he was a commentator. I know his brother's one. I thought Matt Hasselbeck was a commentator too, though.
Not that we saw it, we just assume like he has to be at this point. But so
that's the thing. I definitely think that in terms of their value, his value has got to be the highest out of the most of the younger guys coming up. But the leverage that Russell Wilson will have will be amazing. Especially considering what he's already played for, the fact that he is young, the fact that we don't even know what his ceiling is. So he's going to have a little bit of leverage, just considering, even if they don't win, the fact that he's been to 2 bowls, he has one in the bag already. So, I know his agent is like licking his chops right now in terms of getting this new deal, because they're going to have to pay that man.
Especially, like he's probably like, Russ has to have a great game too, to at least say in the biggest moments, like you really stepped your game up. This game, even though, like you said, Jim, he threw like that murder money pass in overtime, he played a stinker basically up until that point. Besides the rushing touchdown in the fourth quarter, that definitely helped the comeback calls. So it's not like he has a Flacco playoff resume type run to judge his negotiations off of, But if he gets it, if he gets it done and he can redeem his NFC championship performance with a great performance in the Super Bowl, then his agent's going to go all out. And Seattle's not going to have that much leverage because it's not like they're going to say, okay, well, we're not going to do that and you can walk. They're not going to do that. So they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to the thing, he's not a league. Cut that out. I know we're going to dig deep into the Super Bowl coverage like everybody else. Probably going to do way too much of it. But initial thoughts on the matchup for the Super Bowl. What are you guys' initial thoughts on this matchup? Just quick predictions, maybe right now without digging too deep into it. That's what she said.
I got Seattle, man. I think they played their crap game, and I think that the way that they're clicking right now, I think they're going to be able to figure out Brady, and they're going to be, they have the personnel that can D up a Gronkowski. They have those cornerbacks and those safeties that are actually fast and big, whereas most teams don't necessarily have that personnel that can deal with Gronkowski like that. So I think they take him out the game, and then after that, the Patriots are pretty mediocre at the rest of those spots.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, in terms of matchups, they match up well with them. And I also think that the chance to knock the Seahawks out was that last game. Like, they made it past that. So after making it past that, man, like, yo, they may come out and do the same thing they did to my beloved Broncos to the Patriots. Now, who knows? I mean, the Patriots may find a way to cheat, but we'll see. We got a call on the line. We got the homie Jonathan calling in. I think Jonathan is probably pissed about Dev taking shots at his man RG3. So let's see. Jonathan, you're on the line. What's going on?
What's going on, everyone?
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm used to Dev taking shots at RG3. That's nothing new. That means he's alive.
That's not me, man. That's B. Austin. I be trying to defend your boy sometimes, man.
I called to talk to you guys a couple of issues here. I know you guys already talked about this so-called Deflategate. I think it's way out of hand. I think all that's going to happen is there's going to be a $25,000 fine. It's just a matter of who it goes to. You can't find an equipment manager, so someone's going to have to take the blame for it. I think Belichick, in so many ways, was putting it on Brady. And I could be wrong.
He threw him under the bus. He threw him under the bus,
Metro bus, all types of buses. The mega bus, everything. So I think they're going to try to put it on Brady to get himself out of it.
China bus, Greyhound, Peter Pan.
If Belichick is known, if Belichick is a culprit behind it, I noticed I was reading a rule here. It said $25,000 in possible more discipline, and that could go to the whole him getting suspended a year or something like that. Whatever craziness they come up with. So I think they're going to put it on Brady and just let it move on. The other thing I want to talk about, Kobe, you had a great run. An excellent run, brother. It's time to move on. I didn't want to say it.
Trying to move on about 3 years ago.
Kobe, like, if I can move on with this check.
I tried to hold on as long as I could, being a Lakers fan. But, growing up and always wanted to be a Lakers fan, but it's just time for him to move on.
Listen, man. I'm a Lakers fan as well, and I told y'all 3 years ago we should have moved on.
I was mad at him.
We're in now.
He stands that loyal.
When they gave him the last contract, I was pissed, and all my fellow Laker fans were killing me. They were calling me what Hank just said. They said I wasn't loyal. I'm a turncoat, but I'm like, yo, it's all about the name on the front, not the back. And the fact of the matter is, I knew it was coming down. I mean, I didn't know that he would get injured like this, but
hey, Jim, for the team though, it was about the name on the front because that deal was just keep our merchandising, keep our seats filled. That was that kind of deal.
Right.
They knew dude was
old.
But Kobe he means a lot to that Southern California basketball economy. So that's what that deal was.
Right. They got there, right?
I totally understand that, right? But as a fan, I don't give two S's or one F about none of that. I'm trying to win chips. It's 13 ain't enough, in the words of Andre 3000.
You've been there, Jim. We both been out to the Staples Center. You see how them people out there, like, they throw rose petals at dude's feet.
Yeah.
Lakers weren't ready for that to end yet until they found a superstar to replace him, probably. But
Well, LA's always been a bandwagon town, so as soon as you start stinking, no one shows up at the games. So, I mean, there's no loyalty. They're worse than the Seahawks fans.
12th man, baby!
And the last thing I want to talk about before I get off here, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to talk about this because of the fake gate and all the other craziness. Pacquiao needs to go somewhere. If I was Floyd Mayweather, I wouldn't even fight him at this point. He needs him more than Floyd needs Pacquiao. If I was Floyd, I'd take the better fight with Cotto.
Why wouldn't you
Am I
fight
wrong?
him? You already fought Cotto, though.
Yeah, but Cotto is a much better component, I think, than Pacquiao.
You really think he was more worried about taking
But he
who he
already
think is
fought
the better
Anthony.
fighter? That's what I'm saying. Like, we've seen that. You've done that. Why not?
Right.
And,
So
Floyd about his
Pacquiao.
money. So at the end of the day, Floyd is going to want whoever that payday is.
Yeah, he's
But he
still,
don't want to do a
exactly.
Bob Arum.
Because we keep
wanna
saying
go-
that he's going to take a better fight. He's still going to get more money than any other fight out there if he fights Pac-Man. So what's the problem? Just go get your money, go get your win, and get the people what they want, and then move on. Like, I don't understand why he would take other fights. I don't understand why people even justifying that. I wouldn't fight. Why wouldn't you fight him? I'd fight him.
You got to think there's something else holding it up. And please don't tell me you think he's scared. I don't think he's scared.
Man, I don't know who's scared. What I think they need to get it done now. Like, I understood the whole Bob Arum thing in the beginning, but now I'm starting to think that that's just starting to be used as a scapegoat. It's easy now because everybody knows how they feel about Bob Arum, so that's the easy way out. Like, come on, they agreed to the last terms, and then Floyd came out and said, "Well, there are no terms because Pacquiao is not a boss." And okay, but Pacquiao and his bosses agreed to whatever.
Well,
It's
see,
just-
I heard
it's just
something a little different. I read that, but I also heard that the whole Arum thing is what's in the way. Like, this is supposed to be Pacquiao's last fight under Arum. He has one more fight left. I don't know how true that is. This is what I just read, before we came on. And Arum supposedly owes Floyd money from the Oscar De La Hoya fight. So Floyd's big beef with Arum is supposedly over money. He owes him a lot of money over the Oscar fight, and he owes him money for something else. I think Floyd bought out of his contract, and Arum took. It was some sort of a bad deal when Floyd bought out of his contract. So now it's a situation where Floyd is trying to, I don't know whether just basically cut Arum out of making any money off of this fight because everybody knows what kind of money we made off this fight. So it sounds personal. I don't know what's true, what's not true. And to be honest, I'm at the point now where I don't think there's ever going to be a fight, so I don't even care. People get excited about this, I really don't even care. Now, like I said before, if it happens, I'm going to watch it. But my interest is completely, I don't even care whether they fight or not.
Right. It's like waiting for Dr. Dre's detox album.
The one thing I can say is this, though. Pretty much. The one thing I can say is this, though. It's going to hurt Floyd's legacy more than Pac-Man because no one considers Pac-Man an all-time great. Funny thing is, as much as we want this fight, no one puts Pac-Man in Floyd's class anyway.
Right. So the whole legacy thing. Why wouldn't you fight him?
When it's all
I don't know if they.
When it's all said and done, if this doesn't go down, they're going to hold it against Floyd. If it doesn't go down, they're not going to hold it against Pac-Man because no one looks at him.
I think they consider him an all-time great, but no, I don't think they consider him in Floyd's. On his level.
Not in this class though. It's like
but there's nobody. But who is?
Elite and great. He's one of the great guys that come by, but he's not an all-time. He's not an elite guy. And the thing is, so that's why I think it's going to hurt Floyd, but it's not going to hurt Pac-Man anyway because I think in terms of how he'll be viewed in the history of boxing, it's kind of like hit his peak.
Plus, whatever they do and whatever they're doing, even if Pac-Man could be shaking in his boots, scared of this fight right now. But if he knows that the whole Aram thing is going away, he can say what he wants, act macho, and so it's going to always make Floyd look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make Floyd look like a bitch.
That's
So
a whole other aspect, which would be hilarious if that was the truth. That would be actually funny and genius if it was the truth. He knows they can't make a fight anyway, so he's going to come out and say anything.
yeah, I'll be bitching the hell out of Floyd right now. I call him all kinds of stuff.
What would be funny if T.I. walks down with Pacquiao if they do fight.
Yeah, that would be funny.
T.I. he'd take the fight. T.I. already tried to swing on the dude. So. Yo, how you swing on the champ though? T.I. got a lot of heart.
Yeah, and bodyguard.
He gives no F, man.
All right, John, man. Thanks for your call, man. We're gonna talk some.
You take care. We'll see you next week.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah, so that
yeah,
is
man. So
interesting situation.
So,
They're gonna be 75 years old when they fought.
Before we jump into basketball, though, here's one thing I definitely have to ask you guys. You guys are Eagles fans. A story came out this week. NJ.com broke the story that Chip Kelly is making all sorts of backroom deals, trying to make a move to go after Marcus Mariota. As an Eagles fan, how does this make you guys feel that your coach has got his little power and allegedly is making these deals trying to get this guy?
Yeah, Hank, as an Eagles fan, how do you feel?
Yo, Chip is tripping, man. Like, I'm sorry. I think Marcus Mariota is cool, and if we were, at the top of the draft already, I'd be okay with him taking that chance. But if he's going to mortgage our future, and if he's going to, ignore the fact that we need defensive backs like Pookie need crack, I don't see. I just don't understand it, man. Like, y'all gonna clown me for this, but I didn't blame our collapse on Sanchez. Like, he wasn't great, but he wasn't the reason why we fell apart on those last two games. It was all on our defense. So I don't know how drafting a quarterback and probably, giving up this year's first rounder and a couple more years first rounders is going to make us a better team. In an actual Super Bowl contender. So I hate the idea. I hate it.
Well, Hank, my thoughts on Sanchez, but at the same time, I don't think anything you said was crazy or anything. Anybody can look at this team and say, okay, first of all, they've given up the most 20-plus yard plays of any team in the entire league. We have an issue in the defensive backfield. We have an issue with depth at linebacker. The best thing about the defense this year was the pass rush, which we didn't have one last season. Well, not much, but so, okay, the pass rush, you get one thing going and everything else falls apart. And just because this guy was somebody that you recruited when you were still coaching in college, we're willing to mortgage the future of the team, a team that just went back-to-back 10-6, a team that went 10-6 this season with two quarterbacks struggling. However, the offense still scored 30 points per game. So in 6 contests, all we have to do is stop the other team from scoring 31 points a game, and we're pretty much golden right now. So why in the world would anybody, and there's a lot of fans that actually agree with this. Like, I'm glad to be talking with an Eagles fan right now who understands that this is not smart. And, like I always say, like, fans just make everything seem so simple. Everybody's saying, well, we could just pick up defensive backs in free agency, this and that. Okay, even if you were to do that, how long term is that you pick up people from free agency and it really never turns into anything long term. We need some homegrown drafted defensive backs that are going to grow with this team, grow with this unit, and make them better, because offense, the quarterback position is not the problem, even with two quarterbacks struggling the way that they did this season. You score that many points per game, you should be a playoff team no matter what. So now you want to mortgage the future. You want to give up a bunch of draft picks and maybe even some current players for something that's unproven just because this guy recruited him out of high school. Like, this makes no sense to me. Like, NFL draft scouts are already saying how he's not ready. He's not NFL ready. The only place where he might be, where he might have some semblance of success might be in Philly, but that doesn't, like, if I'm any football executive in Philly, that doesn't give me the thought like, oh, I should give up a bunch of people to go get somebody that just might be all right if he's that. So, I think it's silly, man. I think it's silly, and I don't think they should do it, but I just have a feeling that Chip Kelly is that cocky, that silly, that uneducated about the NFL. And now that he has that power, man, he might just go and do that. But I hope it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, man. I really hope so.
Yeah, man. I thought about it. My man just got his power, and these stories came out. I was like, maybe someone planned these stories, and it's not true. This has been speculation for years. But, it's just way too much, man. Man, listen. Anyway, man. I don't know what to say about that chip. Only time will tell if you know what to do in terms of buying the groceries. But we'll see. But let's talk some
one last thing, Jimmy. If he does that and it doesn't work for him, he could just go bounce back to college. But our franchise will be set back for years. You know what I mean?
This is absolutely true. But you know what? The national media adores this dude. I've never seen a dude that gets this much love nationally without really doing anything on a professional level. Then again, what did he win on a college level? Anyway, that being said, man, let's talk some hoops.
Alrighty. NBA Wrap, everybody, is brought to you by Fanatics for the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel. Shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. Just go to our site, warroomsports.com, and click on the Fanatics logo on our main page or on our sponsors page and get the latest in NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, NCAA gear that they're not giving the players money for, and a whole lot more. So let's get into some NBA. All right, NBA Players of the Week. Al Horford from the quote-unquote Spurs East, the Atlanta Hawks, and Mo Williams for the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, Horford, he didn't even play in all 4 games this week, but he played in 3 of the 4 games. The Hawks went 4-0. He averaged 21.7 points. He shot 84% from the field, 27 to 32 from the floor. 8 rebounds and 6.3 assists for the week. He had a triple-double, 21, 10, and 10, and a blowout win over my Philadelphia 76ers. And he shot 8 of 8 from the floor for 22 points when they beat the Toronto Raptors. Mo Williams led the Timberwolves to a 2-1 week. He averaged 30 points per game, 6.3 assists, 39.8 minutes. Both of their wins came on the road, and the big deal for Mo during the week was his 52-point game and a 110-101 win over the Indiana Pacers. So shout out to Al Horford and Mo Williams for becoming the NBA Players of the Week. Y'all got any thoughts on these guys in the week that they had?
I just
Mo Williams with 52. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, how about that? But the course of this season, that there's different guys getting the Players of the Week. I swear, last season it was like LeBron, Durant, Melo, LeBron, Durant. Like, it was like the same 4 or 5 guys, and I know I only named 3, but so what? But this year you see different names.
Yeah, Mo. Yeah, Clay win it. Horford. Clay won it twice, I think. So Durant, LeBron. They're spreading the wealth.
Y'all making light-skinned dudes making a comeback. There's a lot of light-skinned dudes winning the Players of the Week this year, man.
That's right, baby. I honestly, until I started seeing the stuff about the 52-point game, I thought Mo Williams was commentating with Matt Hasselbeck, man. I haven't seen that dude since LeBron left Cleveland. So
Matt Hasselbeck's color man, literally.
Hey, that's racist, man. But I'm glad to see that he's doing well in the league.
All right. So shout out to those guys again for NBA Player of the Week. I also want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to Kamal Hilton. He's a full-time writer for NBA Nation Australia. You may also remember the name because he does the Gaffer and Hooligan Soccer podcast on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. He covers the Toronto Raptors for NBA Nation Australia. And now he's writing a weekly column for War Room Sports entitled NBA Quick Takes. So look out for that on our blog. Just go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on the blog tab. And every week, look for, if you're an NBA head, look for Kamal's NBA Quick Takes. And if you read every one of his columns, in his signature at the bottom of the page will be a link to NBA Nation Australia. You can click on that and check out his everyday writing for NBA Nation Australia. So quick shout out to Kamal Hilton. He's quickly rising up the ranks as one of the hardest working gentlemen in the sports industry. So shout out to him. Shout out to NBA Nation Australia. And shout out to NBA basketball. Let's talk a little bit about the Chicago Bulls. Derrick Rose basically called out his team the other day. I got a few quotes from him. This was after a 108-94 loss to the Cleveland Cavs. And I believe this was their sixth loss in the past 8 games. Rose said everybody has to be on the same page. Until then, we're going to continue to get our ass kicked. And when they asked him who wasn't on the same page, he said it's just the whole team. He said, I think communication is huge. We're quiet when we're out there, and it's leading to them getting easy baskets. We got to give better effort. It seems like we're not even competing, and it's effing irritating. What do you guys think about Rose's comments? And do you think when he says stuff like this, I know he's the leader of the team and he's trying to be that, but do you think these kind of comments fall on deaf ears for somebody who's missed the better part of 2 seasons while these guys were going out there busting their ass every week?
Yeah, I mean, not only because he missed so much time, but also because he just, when he talks, he just doesn't speak that well. He sounds like a special needs little person. Like so when he goes on a rant, you're almost trying to figure out exactly what he's saying. I think the team was more confused than anything. What did he mean by that? And he might not quite know. He might have been upset over something they didn't have Jell-O that day or something like that. Because he just seems very simple to me. So, good attempt at being a leader, but, leave that to somebody who actually has mastered the English language.
Jim, what are your thoughts on it? Well, let me give you some stats real quick, Jimmy, before you tell us. Some things are changing for the Bulls. You know how, defense is Tibbs' thing. And even without Derrick Rose, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. Last year, the defensive efficiency was 10th in the league. This year is 25th. Last year, the defensive field goal percentage was 5th in the league. This year, it's 26th. Last year, the defensive rebound percentage was 17th in the league. This year, it's 26th. So it's and at this time, last year they were 22. I'll leave that for last. But what do you think about, the team not playing the same kind of defense, and then you mix in the stuff that Derrick Rose said? What do you make of this situation?
I think that Jimmy Butler should have grabbed up Derrick Rose and was like, yo.
Hey! Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Yo,
shout out to Reggie Jackson, man. Shout out to Reggie Jackson.
Shout out to Reggie Jackson for playing in Captain Souls. But yo, listen, I think that no one really took that. That's not his personality. It's it's this thing where talking to fans every day, we see just how crazy some people are. And people have this notion that in order to be a leader on a team, you have to be outwardly vocal and scream and do these crazy things, and that's what makes you a leader. There are multiple ways to lead. This has never been Derrick Rose's forte since we've seen him, on the national stage. He's never been that guy. So they probably didn't even believe him. Like, yo, shut up. Like that's not who he is. And I think he's like catering to that, trying to, look like he's that leader. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not who he is.
Yeah.
You
We
see
got
guys
some
all the
breaking
time-
news.
Oh,
We got some breaking news.
And you can tell when guys are fraudulently trying to do that, Dad. You see it all the time. They be playing for the cameras.
Right. No, I was saying we got some breaking news that the East All-Star starters have been announced. And it's Kyle Lowry finally got his due, John Wall, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Pau Gasol. That's your Eastern Conference All-Star starting lineup.
Yeah. Those starting lineups are fraudulent. It's all about the fan votes. I mean, Kobe's starting for the West, for Christ's sake.
But you know what, though? The fans, like, you see somebody like Kyle Lowry start, and you just look like, man, for once in a million times and a million players that's come through, the fans finally got something right. Because, dude probably deserved to be an all-star last year. And
there was some cheating going on, because the fans ain't vote for no damn Kyle Lowry.
That's what I'm thinking, too. Like, after I said it, it sounded funny. Like, who the hell voted for Kyle Lowry?
I think at times the league steps in. Like, the league steps in sometimes. Like, yeah, we got to do something because these fans out of control.
I'm wondering who they really voted.
Messages in his music or something, man. Drake must have planted that in the people's heads in 0 to 100. As soon as you hear that song,
how about that? Maybe it's the Drake factor. It's the Drake factor. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe it's the Drake factor, but
Steph Curry was the leading vote getter. He beat out LeBron. That's crazy.
Wow. So does Kyrie Irving make this team?
Coming back, yo.
You said does Kyrie
Irving make this team? Yeah.
He might. He probably will. He probably will.
Because I can't think of a time where somebody went from being the All-Star MVP to not making the team the next year, especially in the prime of their career. I mean, it's not like he's, an old person and that was his last hurrah. Like, that was supposed to be the year in which now multiple All-Star games are to keep following. And I don't know if he makes this team this year, man. It's some good guards in the East.
Yeah, because Jimmy Butler should probably make it. DeRozan was hurt. Jeff Teague should probably make it.
Yeah,
I think he will. I think one of those guys will get snubbed. I have the Western starters as well. And the Western starters, Anthony Davis and Marc Gasol in the front court. So the Gasol brothers are both starting in the All-Star game. Actually, Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, and Blake Griffin will be your front court, and then Stephen Curry and Kobe Bryant will be your back court. So that's probably going to be Steph Curry and James Harden, who is the next leading vote getter. So,
Hank,
is Kevin Durant ineligible? Kevin Durant didn't play enough games to be eligible?
He was fifth. It was Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, Blake Griffin, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Durant. That's why I think what Jimmy said is true. I think they doctoring these up a little bit because in the West for the guards, Jeremy Lin was ninth. And at one point, Jeremy Lin was like the leading vote getter. He don't just all of a sudden fall off. You know what I'm saying? So they probably said, look, come on, we can't do this. So Jeremy Lin only got 216,000 votes. That's BS right there.
Anthony Davis, Curry, and Blake Griffin. Yo, y'all definitely coming back, man. Salute to y'all, man.
He's back, man. You know Klay Thompson coming off the bench.
Back in the bill. Yeah, Clay's probably going to make it. Yeah, so this should be interesting. I mean, that's what we always look forward to seeing anyway, the reserves, because most of the time they deserve it more. But these starting lineups aren't too bad. I mean, Kobe Bryant is questionable. I'm not going to say he hasn't played at an all-star pace, but he's definitely played at an all-star shooting pace. That's why he tore his rotator cuff, because he was just using it too much. When you use it that much and you're that old, like something's going to happen. All right, so those are your starters. Hey, staying on the whole All-Star game thing, I want to ask you guys a question because I've seen some debates about this week. Is Kyle Korver an All-Star this season?
Do we consider the 3-point shootout an All-Star?
That's the only thing you put him in?
That an All-Star? Yeah, I mean, that's it. He's not. I mean, great shooter, not an All-Star.
See, it's funny because I guess the point is, like, what's the point of the All-Star game? Like, it's supposed to be entertainment, so they're not really constructing a team. He's having an amazing season. His numbers are crazy. And I think it was me and you talking the other day. We talked about how he's, like, carved out a nice little career because he can flat out shoot the ball. And he has definitely done that. But an All-Star, like, nah. I mean, nah.
Well, you got to put that in context, Jim, when you say that. His numbers are crazy for Kyle Korver. But
yeah.
And not even, I mean, because he's averaging
his percentages
13.
are crazy.
Yeah, you're right. Those numbers are definitely crazy. Because he's only averaging 13. Yeah, he's averaging 13 for
3-point percentage though.
Yeah, his 3-point percentage is like 52% or something crazy like that. So yeah, you're right
crazy
about those numbers being crazy.
Flat out shooter.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he makes a case. I don't think for the All-Star game, just makes a case as far as being the best shooter. There was some years where I had already thought Kyle Korver was the best shooter in the league, but he's not as versatile as a shooter as like a Steph Curry. Steph can do it off the dribble, stuff like that. But Kyle is shooting 52%. Just from the floor, period. He's shooting 53.6% from 3-point, 92% from the free throw line, and he's averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. And he's played and started in every game so far for a team that's like tops in the league. And Atlanta is like Spurs East. That's what they're calling them now. So there's a situation going on where they're gonna think they have to get somebody in from Atlanta just because they're doing so well. But I look at that being Jeff Teague before it's Kyle Korver, though.
Yeah, Jeff Teague is having a great season, and he should be rewarded. Like, I love to see guys, like I said, same thing with the players of the week, who generally don't get it or get rewarded when they basically have a great season. So I'm hoping it is Jeff Teague.
All right, and like the caller already called, Jonathan called in. I was talking about Kobe, tore his rotator cuff. So they're going to re-examine that, and you'll probably get a timetable on how long he's going to be out. Staying with the All-Star game format, the BBVA Rising Stars game, they're taking on a new format. It's going to be first and second year NBA players born in America versus first and second year NBA players from from around the rest of the world. Do you guys think that's a good format? That's kind of like the old hockey All-Star game format where it's USA versus the world. Y'all like that?
Yeah. I don't think it's a good idea right now. I mean, a couple years ago, there were a lot more European, players and rookies that were coming out. Now you don't really see that many Europeans and get drafted. So I'm interested to see how who they're going to count as what. Like, is Andrew Wiggins?
I think Wiggins will be on Wiggins will be on that team, and the dude from Milwaukee, where I can't say his name, and they're gonna have some talent. They're gonna have some good talent there.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
I just like to see them do different things. Because the fact of the matter is, like, I don't like it as currently constructed. So I like when they try things. I mean, we'll figure out one year what sticks and what actually makes sense. So the fact that they're trying something, I like that. I think they should do a pickup style. Yeah, come out.
Before Jimmy takes us out of here, we just want to give a shout out to the Miami Heat fans, the greatest fans in the NBA. Salute to you. And tell Forbes to jump off the roof and kill themselves, because we don't have enough time to explain how they came up with that, but there's some mathematical solutions going on in this that really don't make much sense.
Listen, man, if I had wings like this, anyway, listen, it's time for us to get out of here, though. Thanks for joining us in the War Room, good people. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, those on Facebook and Twitter. All the calls who chimed in to holler at us, we appreciate it. Special thanks to Fred Perdue of collegefootballextra.com for joining us to preview the Senior Bowl. And special thanks to Brother Hank for hosting with us today. We appreciate it, good brother. Tune in next week, same time, same time, right here. And you can also catch us, WRS Podcast Network, for all of our shows, as well as everybody else on that podcast network. Next week, we're going to talk more about the Super Bowl, of course. We're going to analyze everything about the Super Bowl and everything else in the world of sports. So until then, enjoy your week. We'll see you right back here. All of our conversations can be heard on Facebook, Twitter, at War Room Sports, Instagram, at War Room Sports, our webcast, warroomsportstv.com. And again, all of our network shows, don't forget, WRSPN.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8. Yeah. War Room Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy. Know the blueprint. Yo. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic in the box course. Listen live, push 1 to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip-hop scholars, tip-stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Jack Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jack. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.